International tourism is back. Join us as we visit Israel. Have a glimpse of its unique, historic, and iconic landmarks and tourist destinations. Know more about their strategies in welcoming international tourists again towards a full economic recovery. All these in this episode of Open for Business.
This program is supported by Sierra Eye Center Plus and Sierra Health Diagnostic Center and Multi-Specialty Clinic. Quality and affordable health care for all.
Kapag mali ang pintura, tubig, tatapos, pader,
saya sa bawat kada all over the world. Tara na't ma-inspire at ma-amaze sa kwento ng mga bawat kada na nagwagi sa anumang hamon at pagsubok ng buhay. Itago na mga remote control at tumambay lang dito sa paborito niyong barkada sa umaga, ang Kada Umaga! Dahil kayo ang bida dito.
Ensure that your face mask is worn at all times while alone and practice regularly.
Before departure and upon arrival in Israel, you need to undergo RT-PCR tests, and without your negative result, you are not allowed yet to go out of your hotel. And luckily, we got our negative results, and we were advised by our tour guide, Gabi, that we could explore the safe streets at night here in Tel Aviv. Nandito kami ngayon sa Jaffa or Yafu, one of the oldest parts of Tel Aviv. And behind me is one of its most famous landmarks, the Clock Tower, which was built in 1903. Business is in Israel, and with me is Gabi Landao, our official tour guide. Gabi, you told me earlier that we are on a holiday. That's why the Baha'i garden and shrine is closed. And it's also hazy. Why is that?
Well, I'm so sorry it's hazy, but because there's usually a very beautiful view here. But it's in the beginning of the summer. It's like the winter is still fighting with the summer, and we get those heat waves coming from the desert, from Jordan, from Saudi Arabia and Egypt, and we get this heat, high temperature, and a lot of dust coming from the desert. Usually it takes 2 days, and the temperature will go back to normal.
Baha'i is one of the most famous landmarks here in Israel. What's the significance of Baha'i to Israel and also to tourists like us?
Well, it's a beautiful spot, as you can see.
The landscaping, the garden, architectural design is immaculate. Is there some sort of a pattern, or what's the inspiration of that architecture?
Absolutely. First of all, they teach a lot for aesthetics. And that's why the gardens are very symmetrical, and they're not like wild gardens. And the terraces, which the gardens are designed, are 19 terraces, all the way down to the downtown. And 19 is one of their holy numbers, actually 9, and it appears a 9 and a 19, which is also their calendar.
begin with the Crusaders. They arrived here by the end of the 11th century. They stayed around 200 years in the Holy Land. During all the 13th century, the Crusaders couldn't conquer Jerusalem. So Acre became the capital of the whole Crusader kingdom. Very important period for the city. We found, for example, some documents showing that every day we had around 60, 70 boats anchoring in our port, quite impressive at the time. From here they took spices, sugar, cotton to Europe. End of the 13th century, the Mamelukes, mercenaries coming from Egypt, will conquer the country. They conquer Acre. They will expose all the Crusaders, and to prevent the reorganization of a new Crusader, they decided to destroy the Crusader city. So, from being a kind of international capital, Acre became a little fisherman village for a few hundred years till the 18th century. 18th century, the Turks are here. The Turkish governor of Acre is called Ahmad el-Jazar. El-Jazar is a nickname. If I translate it, would be Ahmad the Butcher. When he arrived in Acre, he found the destroyed Crusader city, and he decided to cover up with rubble all what was left from the Crusader period. He filled all the buildings with rubble, with rocks, with sand, till a uniform level, and on top of it, he built his own city. So in a few words, that's the story of Acre nowadays. We have two cities on top of each other. At the upper level, what we do call the old city, that would be the Turkish city, and the real old city, that the Crusader part, which is under what you can see on this model, and that's the part we are going to see right now.
We're here in this one of the most significant places in Israel, and as we were going down, you told us that this is both a hospital and a prison. What's the significance of this in Israel's history?
Well, because we are going to visit quarter of the Crusader city of Acre. And in this quarter, we'll not be able to see the hospital because we didn't excavate it yet, but we did excavate the prison. So, you know, there was all kind of buildings in the same quarter that we'll find a dining hall, place where they were sleeping. It's really all the life was going around in this quarter. And part of the life at the time, and today also, I guess, was a prison.
Interesting. So, this is there's a lot of excavations going on that has been done, and you are saying that there are still parts which are not yet were not excavated.
Most of the Crusader city haven't been yet being excavated. We found some maps, authentic Crusader maps of Acre in Italy, in the archive of the Vatican. And when we compare these maps with what have been found during the excavations in Acre began by the end of the 50s, we noticed that till now we barely found 4%, only 4% of the whole Crusader city. So 96% of surprises, of treasures are still waiting for us in Acre.
And this is declared one of the heritage sites. Can you mention more about that?
Yes, by the end of 2001, Acre was inscribed on the list of the World Heritage Sites by the UNESCO, thanks to the Crusaders and the Turkish remains in our city, which are quite impressive. And a second time, in the year 2008, Acre again was inscribed on the list of the World Heritage Site by the UNESCO, thanks to the Baha'i garden, wonderful Baha'i garden we have here in Acre. You notice that we went down a few stairs. We are in a crypt. A crypt usually is a burial place under a big cathedral, under a big church. And if we go back to the maps we found from the Crusaders' time, we know that on top of us was the church of St. John, the church of the Hospital's Quarter. The church had been destroyed by the Mamelukes, but they left the crypt underneath where the Crusader used to bury the important people of the city.
And who are they?
We actually found some tombstones.
And
this one, for example, it's half of a tombstone, belonged to the last bishop of Nazareth. When the Mamelukes conquered the country, all the Christians came to our city, the last city to resist. And the bishop died here in Acre. This other tombstone belonged to the 18th great master of the Hospitallers. And the inscription you can read over there is in Latin. But without being very strong in Latin, you can see Magister would be the master. You have Hospitalis would be the Hospitallers. Jerusalem, because this guy fight in Jerusalem. Well, we have the Jerusalem Post, but I don't think that was a newspaper they read at the time. We can see another city, Ascalon, is a city of Ashkelon, south of the country.
I just got wowed here. What is this place?
That was a dining hall during the Crusaders' time, and we are still using it for private events, as you can see now.
This part of Acre is also open for business. As a matter of fact, they are offering services for rentals for private functions, and also the event that's going to happen, magkakaroon ng celebration ng 60th birthday ng isa sa mga Israelis dito. Malamang, sabi nga, ay napakayaman ka para magrenta sa lugar na ganito dito sa Acre. So special about the Turkish bath?
It was a kind of a social meeting place, you know. The men came to gossip, to talk about the problem of the city, and so.
So it's like golf now.
Yeah, kind of, yes. The
During
women
that time.
came, you know, some of them, they came to give birth in the Turkish bath. They say that with the steam, it makes it easier for the process to give birth.
I see.
Mother came to search for a wife for their son, because in the Turkish bath you are naked, you can't hide anything. You see, so...
See? That's a good information.
Everybody knows! Your Kuya Tony Petgaba na hindi naubusan ng tips. Siyempre, from DIY to life hacks, sagot ko na yan. Saan ka pa? Let's all play together. Let's have fun together. Tara na, sumali at makigulo sa aming kada challenge. Sa kada umaga, kompleto na ang inyong umaga.
Isa sa mga pinakamahalagang simbolo ng Israel at narito tayo ngayon sa Jerusalem. Nasa likuran ko ang isa sa mga menora. Ito ay nasa tapat lang ng Neset o ang parliament ng Israel. Ang menora ay may dalawang uri, isang 7-branch na menora at isang 9-branch na menora. Aalamin natin mula sa ating tour guide na si Gabby ang pagkakaiba nito. The menorah portrays 29 formative figures, events, and concepts from the Old Testament and even the history of the Jewish people.
Just to start our day here in front of the what we call menorah, which in English is also called candelabra. Because this is the symbol of Israel. We're standing in front of the parliament, The parliament is there, which is called the Knesset, which means assembly in Hebrew, okay? And this one, which we're looking at, was given to the State of Israel as a present in 1948, when Israel became independent state and the British left. So Great Britain gave this as a present to the State of Israel. All right, why 7 branches? Because when you go to gift shops, and we will today, and you're going to see 2 kinds of menorahs.
What are these?
The one that you usually see has 9 branches.
Okay.
Or to put it more precise, 8 plus 1. The one is always standing out. Okay? And then you have the 7. The one that we use is the 8 plus 1. And this is to commemorate the 8 plus 1, or the 9. We light it every year in Hanukkah, the holiday of Hanukkah, to commemorate an event that happened in the temple, the Jewish temple in Jerusalem, during the time of the Greeks. I'm talking about the 2nd century. Okay?
But Gabby,
BC.
which one is official? We know that it's an iconic symbol of Israel, but
This one. Why this one? The
Why?
7. Because the 7 is for the 7 days of creation. God created the world in 7 days. In 6 days, and the 7th day He rested, and we rest, and today is the 7th day. So 7 is the holy number. Therefore, when King Solomon built the first temple on Mount Moriah, he lit, the candelabra of 7 branches on the house of God to remember that God brought the Israelites out from Egypt, from slavery to freedom. And Solomon built the temple, the house of God, for him. And the 7 branches candelabra was the important one that they lit. Temple was destroyed. The menorah gone. Nobody knows where it is. Indiana Jones is still looking for it. Yeah?
Okay, but with the menorah, since it's an iconic symbol, is it used in official documents?
No. Oh, yeah. Documents, yes. The official emblem of the new state of Israel is the menorah. You will see it later there or on any official document. And 2 branches of olive. We are here. We just came here, the Dung Gate. Okay, and you can see the entire old city. So we came here. With the bus, we drove like this. Here's Damascus Gate, you see? We went like this, the Flowers Gate. We came to the corner. We went around like this, okay? And now we're here. Okay, so we enter the Dung Gate. Now, one of the things that you see already, that one section is very dominant of the whole old city. And this is what we call the Temple Mount, which the corner you can already see from here. The corner is this. Now, what is the Temple Mount? The Temple Mount is an artificial plateau that Herod built, all right, on top of Mount Moriah. That was Mount Moriah where Solomon built the first temple and was destroyed, and then Herod built the second one exactly on the same place, destroyed by the Romans.
Why are they calling it the Wailing Wall?
Because for years and years and years, the Jewish people were crying and wailing for the Messiah to come, and so that the temple will be rebuilt again. It is archaeologically and historically the western supporting wall of the temple. But also Jewish people thought it's the only thing that was left. And now we have so much more.
Heading now?
We're on the Via Dolorosa, okay? Like you see all the pilgrims walking from one station to the other, following in the footsteps of Jesus. How he walked with the cross, carrying the cross, to the place where he was crucified, which was called Golgotha. And that's where we're heading. So he was walking uphill, and it was a hot month, and you know, he was suffering a lot, and so we're heading to the Golgotha, which today is where a big cathedral, where he was crucified and then buried. So that's where we're heading.
And are these the original, some of these are original structures?
2,000 years, no. But the pattern, the route, yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, of course, as a matter of fact, the street in the last 2 years of COVID has just recently made. So for us, you know, so it will be more comfortable.
What is this place?
Well, we're standing in front of one of the most important places for the Christian world, because it's called the Holy Sepulchre, but actually it composes two very important places. Remember, we were on the Via Dolorosa, we walked the way Jesus walked. Okay, he carried the cross from the place where he was condemned, so to speak, carried the cross to a place which was outside the city wall. 2,000 years ago, this was a hill. Just a hill, nothing, no buildings, nothing. You have to turn on your imagination. And this is where the Romans executed people to death. They crucified them. So this is where Jesus was brought to, okay? They nailed him to the cross, yeah? And up there, which we're going to see, he was crucified on the cross and died on the cross. After that, they took his body and buried it in a cave. And years passed by. And we come to the time of Helena and Constantine, which is the 4th century. They came here and people took them and told them, this is where Jesus was crucified. This is where he was buried. And they built the first church. Okay, the church was destroyed by the Muslims and then rebuilt again by the Crusaders and then destroyed again by the Muslims and then rebuilt again by the Greek Orthodox. But since this is such a holy place for the whole Christian world, everyone wants a piece of it. The Greek Orthodox have their piece. The Catholic have their piece. The Coptic have their piece. The Armenian have their piece. Even the Ethiopian monks have their piece. So the place became a maze. Not one custody, a complex of little buildings.
Yeah, but historically, is it proven fact
Yes.
that the space is really here?
Yes, even though the Protestant world believe it's in another place, yeah, not too far from here, but the Vatican did DNA tests on graveyard, which is around here. They dug, about 5 years ago, they dug in Jesus' grave, and they found, well, not his body because he resurrected, remember?
Yes.
But they found that the authentic grave is from 2,000 years ago. Now, people ask me, how do you know that this is the place? How? Because there was no vacuum. There was no void between Jesus' death and the first churches. It was 300 years, yes, but Jesus had followers, and they told his story and went to all the holy places and mourned, you know, and secretly because they were oppressed by the Romans. And so when Helena and Constantine came, it was already passed from one generation to the other. This is the place. You see here behind you, there are very steep steps. They lead you up to a natural hill, which is called the Golgotha. Golgotha comes from the Hebrew word gulgolet, which means a head skull, because there were many people who were executed to death there, and there were many skulls around. You see all these people are kneeling down and touching a stone.
And this is the place?
This is where they lay Jesus' body after he died on the cross, like you see in the beautiful mosaic in the back.
Alam namin ang iyong pagsisikap. Dama namin ang iyong mga sakripisyo. Kita namin ang pagharap mo sa bawat pagsubok. Kaya sa kabila ng mga hamon ng buhay, nandito kami para umalalay. Kasi katulad mo, gusto rin namin ang magandang bukas para sa kanya. Hatid namin ang dekalidad na edukasyon at makabagong pasilidad sa abot kayang halaga. Kaya huwag ka na mangamba. Sasamahan ka namin tuparin ang mga pangarap niya. Maaasahan mong sulit dito ang mga pinagsikapan mo. Sa aming mga makabagong pasilidad at sistema ng edukasyon. Mailalabas natin ang aking talino at mga kakayahan niya. Kahit sa munting halaga, makakasiguro ka na makakasabay siya sa mabilis na pag-ikot ng mundo. Sa New Era, karamay mo kami sa bawat hamon. Kaagapay mo kami sa bawat hakbang. Kasama mo kami sa bawat ngiti at tagumpay.
Noticed international tourism is back, and of course we had so many problems during the pandemic. A lot of people don't want to go out and don't want to go to travel, but this time I think there's similar to revenge shopping, there's also revenge traveling. What's your observation?
Well, it's going back to normal, like I said, but again, the war between Russia and Ukraine, it's affecting us a lot. And we've started noticing that few days ago, we had the Orthodox Easter celebration. Usually between 9,000 to 20,000 tourists come visit and celebrate that occasion. We only had like 2,000, 3,000 people coming to Israel.
In terms of percentage,
yeah,
what is that?
It's like 15%. That is very low for a huge event like the Easter fire that comes once a year. That should be our best time of the year concerning shops, shopping, tourism. So this is affecting us a lot. And like 70% of the tourists that come and celebrate this event, it's Russian tourists. So the Russians, maybe 5% out of the 70%.
So somehow that Russia-Ukraine conflict is affecting with the prices,
yes,
or is it the fuel?
It's the whole package. It's affecting the whole world, but in Israel we stopped feeling the effect recently. It's a big drop in tourism, but thank God it's better than the past 2 years so far. Hopefully we continue like that, and if they end the war soon, it's going to be excellent all over the world.
You own a very beautiful shop. What are your strategies in making sure that people come back? You know what? And do you have unique promotional?
Well, actually, we are the third generation in Jerusalem. This is one of the 3 shops that is recommended and listed by the Minister of Tourism. We run a legit business. So we always take care of our customers. The customer is always right. We treat them very well. And this is the way we do it, and everybody else does it.
Welcome to Open for Business. Today we have Sophia Pincas, the Director for Asia of the Israel Ministry of Tourism. How are you, Sophia?
Hi, how are you doing?
Perfect.
I'm very happy to see you here, post-pandemic.
Okay. Now, I go straight to the questions. During the year before the pandemic, Israel accommodated more than 4 million tourists, and we know based on our research that that's about $6.5 billion in revenue. Now, with the lighter restrictions, what's your outlook? Are you looking at better figures this time?
Actually, the year previous to the pandemic was a record year for Israeli tourism. We were hoping to break another record during the 2020, but unfortunately everything stopped, and we had to change this plan. And now, once we're open, we're hoping to get back to those figures. And obviously, this will be a shorter. It will be a slower year than we would hope so, but we expect it to overcome the travel trade, to overcome the obstacles of the pandemic, and to revert to previous numbers at least, and during the next years to break another record.
Wow. I was listening to my friend Victor earlier when he was asking you questions. He said there might be some strategies, new strategies that you have implemented or that you will implement because of the pandemic? Are there new systems, new marketing innovations that you are going to do to attract people who will come? Because of course a lot of us are, some of us are still afraid, although we are fully vaccinated with boosters. So what are your marketing strategies to promote Israel pre-pandemic?
Actually, Israel is very safe post-pandemic. Israeli public is very vaccinated. Almost everyone who is able to be vaccinated were vaccinated. As you can see in the streets, we removed the masks. We removed almost all the restrictions. Only in specific places you need to wear a face mask. The travel is free. Restaurants are open. The attractions are open. We feel like there was no pandemic, actually, when you walk the streets of Israel at this point.
Yes.
If you noticed, yeah. And I don't want to speak about strategy, but I do feel that every believer from Philippines and other places, Israel should be the first place to visit after this difficult time of pandemic. It would be the place to be thankful for saving them, for their health. It would be the place to feel the power. And I think it's not a strategy, but it's a feeling. Who could be lucky enough to feel the victory of the pandemic in the Holy Land?
Wow, I'm having goosebumps as you say that. But I agree with you. But from the eyes or from the perspective of other people, they think that Israel is just pray. But I think yesterday, and when we were touring the different places, you can do all three: work, pray, and
Play.
party. So is
right.
that also the kind of a strategy or some sort of a way for you to tell Israel that it's more than the biblical places, historic places,
Sure.
but it's a place for people to enjoy, like Tel Aviv.
Yeah, Israel is a place to feel good for everybody, spiritually, and also to enjoy your time on earth. It's a place where you can eat very well, you can party very, very, very well, and obviously you can have the spiritual attraction, the spiritual activity that you're looking for and that people dream of. You can party everywhere, you can eat well in a lot of places, but here you have all the three. And this is the unique treasure that we have in Israel. Also the Holy Land and also the party land.
Now, with the many, with the influx of tourists coming from everywhere, I hear, these concepts about revenge shopping, revenge traveling. So how is your department, how is the Ministry of Tourism preparing for the influx of more tourists?
We're ready. We're ready to welcome the coming tourists and travelers after the pandemic. Actually, during this time, for more than 2 years, we had the chance to renovate, to work on the places that needed to be renovated. And I think that we are more than ready to accept the travelers again.
Another factor, Sophia, is that we're looking, this is not only Israel, but the whole world, somehow is affected by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And with this, what do you think, how are you affected? Because we know, based on data, there's a lot of Russians and people from Ukraine who travel here. Is this somehow, giving a dent on the tourist figures?
I think that thanks to the pandemic, maybe, we've learned that nothing is constant. We can't rely on anything. We need to be always dynamic and to rethink our ways. And I'm sure that we'll be able to overcome this challenge also.
Another factor, Sophia, is that when we were, with the many, with the anticipation of people, of tourists coming here, there are some reports that not only here, but there could be shortage of tourism workers. How are you addressing that?
Actually, there is a shortage in workforce in many fields. I think that it should be addressed as we go on and we see that there are more tourists. We're now not in the, unfortunately, we're not in the full capacity of the travelers here. So I believe that it will be fixed when we arrive to the point that it needs to be fixed.
Now, Sophia, I'm nearing with my final question. With Israel, with the state of Israel, we see how the government and the people are very supportive of this industry. Is this something that is really highlighted by the government? Is this something that are there subsidies by government, new programs, new tourism or tourist packages for, like say for example, for Filipinos who want to come over now, it's cheaper or it's better, it's more affordable, it's more exciting. What are those, Ms. Sophia?
It's definitely more exciting. After 2.5 years being unable to arrive, everything is more exciting. Though we do have some programs to bring here more air carriers, to renovate hotels for investors that are international chains and local investors, to build new hotels, to renovate hotels here, to enable travelers to stay here for affordable prices.
We are very fortunate, the Philippines is very fortunate that we are visa-free because of the relationship between Israel and the Filipino people. Can you describe more about this relationship from your perspective?
Sure. Actually, thank you for mentioning. The visa-free issue is a game changer for the Philippines to travel to Israel. Not everybody in the Philippines are aware of the fact that you don't need a visa to enter Israel. We have a long and good relationship between the two countries that allowed us to avoid the visa from Philippines to Israel. And it makes the travel here more welcoming and easy for any Filipinos.
And if you can invite them, Ms. Fia, Filipino viewers are watching, small businessmen, CEOs are watching now. What is your invitation to Filipino people?
Dear friends, please come visit us, pray with us, eat with us, play with us, party with us. We are here, we are waiting for you. We had a long time with the closed borders. We are so excited to open them and to welcome everybody.
In one word, how do you describe Israel tourism?
Fun, fun, fun.
That's 3 words. And,
That's fun.
And in one word, how do you describe Israel as a country, as a state?
Amazing country.
That's Ms. Sophia of Israel's Ministry of Tourism. Open for Business. We'll be back. This has been a very exciting conversation, and I hope to explore more of the state of Israel. And it's a beautiful country with its historic, breathtaking places. Beautiful country, and I hope everyone from the Philippines will just book your ticket because it's visa-free. Open for Business. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Ano ba naman yan? Anong oras na?
Ay, anak!
Ay, naku.
Hi, Erwin, anak. Buti nakabalito kayo.
Ayos siya. Oo naman. Very good.
Anak, ready ka na ba?
Ano bro? Ready ka na? Ready now.
Ready na, Nay.
Manalo o talo, it's you! Weeknights pagkatapos ng Mi Esperanza. Dito lang sa Net25, Prime Time ng Pamilya.
Kung kayo ay may sumbong o reklamo na gusto po ninyong paaksyonan sa inyong lugar, problema na nais niyo pong masolusyonan, mag-text sa 0915-415-1035 o mag-email sa responde@net25.com. Pwede rin kayong magpadala ng mensahe sa ating Facebook page at Net25TV. Hintayin po namin ang inyong mensahe para agad na marespondihan. Mapapanood nyo kami sa mga sumusunod na mga channels. Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Ito ang Responde, Mata ng Mamamayan.
In the next normal, Millennials and Generation Z will lead the way in terms of travel. If your social network is likely full of photographs from your friends on vacation, presenting famous vistas of scenery as well as the delicacies of the areas they are traveling, you may feel as if life is returning to its natural state. As Millennials are the largest generation to date, they have significant purchasing power in the tourist sector.
The modern trend is without a doubt a trend from the past. There are plenty of ruins here in Israel, and of course, people take a chunk of history with them.
And Israel gives it in spades with its insanely lovely market. Each vintage store has a wonderful experience of true collaboration among style and an amazing purpose. Everything I noticed here is a fashionable treasure trove. Israel has the most trendy hipster cities in the world, and coming here is a fashionista's dream. Everything is changing at an increasing rate, but many things remain constant. We have left a world where private designs and antique fashion are making a comeback. And of course, it is a good thing. For Millennials, travel and tourism are quite important, and they place a high value on it. Reliability, fulfillment, and sustainability are important for Millennial tourists. Millennials want to share their experiences while on vacation. Therefore, they use modern technology to plan their trip and read reviews. This aligns with their ideals of originality and experience over possessions, allowing them to travel to areas that their colleagues have yet to witness.
Not only Millennials are traveling more, but they are also spending more.
The fact that Millennials are entering their prime earning years and are becoming more capable of paying their own way is a big part of their desire to travel the world. They do, however, play a critical role in shaping consumer demand and functioning as a change agent in destinations.
Why are Millennials so fond of traveling? It is now up to you to figure it out.
Welcome to Mobile Legends!
Ang morning show na always nagbibigay ng ngiti at saya sa bawat kada all over the world. Tara na't ma-inspire at ma-amaze sa kwento ng mga bawat kada na nagwagi sa anumang hamon at pagsubok ng buhay. Itago na mga remote control at tumambay lang dito sa paborito niyong barkada sa umaga, ang Kada Umaga! Dahil kayo ang bida dito.
Ito ang Net25 Primetime News. Matatag. Matapang. Matapat kasama sina Alex Santos, Emma Tiglao at Vic De Leon Lima. Mata ng Agila. Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 6 ng gabi sa Net 25.
Open for Business is back, and our buzzword of the week is bleisure travel. Bleisure travel is a new term for a trend in travel that combines both business and leisure travel to extend vacations. We hope that you enjoyed the first part of our Israel trip as much as we did. Samahan nyo kami sa part 2 kung saan bibisitahin natin ang ilan pa sa mga makasaysayan at mga bagong tourist destinations dito sa Israel. The Israel Ministry of Tourism is inviting everyone to plan your visit here, find some relaxation, and enjoy the history and beauty of Israel. Maraming salamat sa inyong panonood ng Open for Business. Samahan nyo kaming muli sa Open for Business sa susunod na linggo sa aming pagbisita sa iba pang mga kilalang tourist destinations dito sa Israel, keeping you informed and open for business anytime, anywhere. Be ahead of the curve from vision to action. Panoorin din ang programang OFB sa Facebook at YouTube. Mag-like at mag-subscribe sa aming social media at Net25 TV. Para sa Open for Business, ako po si Cesar Vallejos.